Hey, Mount fans, this is Adam Pohl. Welcome to another edition of the Donny Lind Show presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. The Mount now in the heart of MAC play. Coming off a weekend at home, beating undefeated in league play St. Peter's on Friday night, and then falling on Sunday afternoon to Siena. We'll talk about it with Coach Lind. We've got a conversation with Mount St. Mary's Greek Guard Anastasios Rozakeas. And then later in the program, it's time for the Buffalo trip. The Mount's heading to Canisius and Niagara. We'll take a look at what's up ahead for the Mountaineers. The Donny Lind Show starts now. Great to be back with you here on the Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. My name once again is Adam Pohl, joined by the Mount head coach, Coach Donny Lind. And Coach, coming off of a weekend split against two very, very strong teams in the league coming to Knott Arena. Let's jump into it. The first game was a big win Friday night against an undefeated in league play St. Peter's team, a team that is always so physical. They bring that defensive presence, and you guys were able to match that.
Yeah, I thought we did a really good job of matching their toughness and in times exceeding it. You know, being mentally, physically, and emotionally tough, not just physically tough, but being able to withstand the ebbs and flows of the game and things not going our way sometimes, and being able to just continue to stay in the fight and continue to battle, against a team that, hopes to eventually wear you down. And we were able to, just maintain that fight the whole game.
One of the things you've talked about in our conversations this year is that it doesn't have to be one person. And it was so unique that in the St. Peter's game, you had two different players score a career high in points. That's so abnormal. A.K. Kebe had his first collegiate start. He scored 13. And then Xavier Lipscomb had an outstanding game, made all 12 of his free throws, scoring 18 points.
Yeah, those guys were ready to go, and the great part about our team is, no one really cares who leads us in scoring that day. And there was a testament to it, with changing the lineup a little bit and, AK being ready to go and, he scored, but wasn't really focused on scoring. Mm-hmm. He scored because he really played well defensively and, played with a free head on the offensive end. And that's been his biggest area of growth, from freshman to sophomore year, is just that attitude of, being a defensive stopper and a warrior on the defensive end, and then letting his offense kind of flow from that. And then, we needed X, especially late in the game. He drew fouls, and when we kind of got in a little bit of a rut scoring the ball, he was able to get to the free throw line and able to, kind of keep the offense moving. And then obviously he's a really good free throw shooter. So when he gets there, we all think they're going in.
No doubt about it. And for Kebe, that's been a big revelation for Mount fans here in the last 2 weeks or so. He came back for the Penn State Brandywine game, and his shooting touch has really improved this year, but he's doing it all over the court. And we've even seen him as a playmaker, the ability to dribble, drive. He had a step back three in the game against Siena. He's been able to drive and kick to the wing. It really looks like a completely new player.
Yeah, he's a really talented kid. He's a special kid. He's bought in. He works hard. But if you just, if everybody had a talent rating, he's going to be one of our more talented players. At his size and his length, to have the ability to do the things he can with the ball. There just aren't a lot of human beings on earth that can do what he can do. And when, for him, it's a matter of continuing to mature as a player, continuing to just kind of put polish on a lot of those things. He's got some of these skills that are, have been taught but aren't honed. And so now you're starting to see, as he's put the work in with our assistant coaches, you see that honing starting to come, and that he's just more confident and able to just make the play that's in front of him and not just be completely, most guys when they're young, all they see is the rim. How can this play turn into a shot? And he's doing a good job right now at just trying to make the play that's in front of him. And sometimes that's a shot for him. Sometimes that's creating something for somebody else. Sometimes that's a drive to the rim. But the thing that he does that really stands out to me on the offensive end is his ability to attack the offensive glass. From the perimeter as a wing, he, I would say pretty much every time the rest of the year is going to have a size athleticism mismatch, which allows him an opportunity to go get his hands on the ball on an offensive glass. And that provides us a different element, especially at times, when we're not shooting it as well. If you've got somebody from the perimeter like that who can go attack the glass, that gives you opportunities for second and third chances, which, you hopefully get enough of those, you think you'll be able to score.
On Sunday afternoon, it was Siena that came to town. Just a little background on MAC's scheduling now. For years and years and years, it was a true round robin. You played every team in the league twice. There was a span when the Mount came into the league where there were 11 teams. So you had a 20-game schedule. You played everybody home and road. Now, though, there are 13 teams, so there's 12 teams that you will play in the league. You play 8 of them twice, and you play 4 of them one time. So Siena was one of the teams that you'll only match up with one time this year. It was an unusual game. Siena got out to a great start. The Mount spent a long period of time coming back, and then Siena finished the game strong as the Saints win in the end. Altogether, they're looking for the positives in it. The press really paid big dividends late in the first half.
Yeah, I thought, we were able to kind of get our energy and get our momentum a little bit through the defense. Our defense, I thought, sustained us throughout the game until the very end. And, there's some times when, when you're struggling to score that you need to rely on your defense. But your hope is that eventually, the offense will catch up and the defense doesn't have to hold somebody in the 40s for you to win. Right. Unfortunately, I one of the things that was taught to me when I first got here was that there would be times, 2 or 3 times a year, when Coach Phelan would walk into the locker room after the game and say, "Boys, we didn't make enough shots tonight." Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it was one of those nights. The defense couldn't sustain us long enough with the way we were shooting the ball. And, that's disappointing, but those nights happen. We have a group of guys that is really talented that spends a ton of time working on their game. And every once in a while, you have a night where the ball's not going in for you. And you hope that your defense can sustain you enough that you can still find a way to squeak out a win on those nights. Unfortunately, that wasn't one of them on Sunday.
So we're going to just in a moment talk to one of your young players, the transfer from Greece, Anastasios Rozakeas. And Stas, very unique background, came from Florida State, which is something obviously not many Mount players have been in the ACC previously, and also a player on the Greek national team. It's been great to have him here in Emmitsburg.
Yeah, Stas is an unbelievable kid, first and foremost, unbelievable person. He is so bought into trying to help our team win, puts a lot of pressure on himself to help us win, knows a lot of his value, unfortunately for him, he sees and everybody sees in his ability to shoot the basketball, which at times can be streaky for any player. Sure. And, his attitude and his ability to be so team-focused through a season of ups and downs with him shooting the ball, it's really stood out. He's willing to do whatever the team needs to help us win, including, having some games that he's not playing. And, he's just has maintained a ever ready attitude, an attitude of team first and trust. And so, I don't doubt that, there's a time to break out of that slump coming soon.
Well, our conversation with Anastasios Rozakeas is coming up next.
The time has come. The steak and cheese sandwich is back at Roy Rogers. Savory or spicy, make it yours with your favorite fixins. Go big and upgrade to a large drink and holster fry for the full cowboy experience. Get it while you can. Steak and cheese is here for a limited time only. See you soon at Roy Rogers.
Welcome back to the Donny Lind Show. My name is Adam Pohl. We're presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. We're here on Jim Phelan Court here at Knott Arena. I'm joined by Mount St. Mary's forward, guard, wing, shooter, Anastasios Rozakeas. Stas, how you feeling? How you doing?
I'm good. I mean, everything's been good. I mean, we lost some games, especially the last one was a bad one, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna get it back, and starting off the streak we want to.
Tell me about how this journey has been for you to come to the United States. Many people don't think of it for you as an international player. It's so unique to play college basketball at your age and being so far from home. How has it been?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought, especially in Greece, that there is a gap in some ages. For example, 18 to 22. Greek players struggle to find teams to play with a role between that age. So I thought that the best for me would be to continue being in not a professional, but kind of a professional level.
Sure.
and at the same time doing my studies in a really good program as it is here, playing a good level as the Mackies. And yeah, that was my first thought. Last year didn't went good for me. Like I was super unlucky with everything. Like 2025 was definitely not my year. But this is in the past, and I'm pretty optimistic with what's gonna go for me in the future.
Before we look all the way back, I want to talk to you about your experience in playing with the Greek national team.
Yeah.
You know, we see players over time that play with various national teams, but Greece is a great basketball country. A lot of players that play with their national team are playing for a much smaller basketball nation. So it had to mean so much for you to get that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm a member of the national team since 15. So my first tournament was the under 15 tournament, and then I played basically in all of the teams, under 16, under 18, and the past summer under 20. The bad thing is that we didn't have much of success unless the under 16 tournament we finished 4th. But then we didn't have the success we needed. The last summer we were pretty optimistic about it. We had the tournament in our country, in Greece. We had our crowd, but still we were pretty unlucky. We fell short and we finished 5th. I have one more year this summer. I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, it's not in my hand to go there. I mean, the coaches decide, but I will definitely be ready and available whenever my country asks for me to play for them.
So how about your upbringing? How did you come from a family of basketball players?
Yeah.
Did you always know basketball was going to be your sport?
Yeah, I mean, no, because I loved soccer growing up. I still really like soccer. I mean, sometimes I watch more soccer than basketball. Yeah, but I started playing soccer. My dad didn't like it because of I don't know what he thought, the injuries, the outside of the court as we have here, no AC. I don't know, bad conditions. He didn't like it, so he basically make me to feel better with basketball. He played basketball growing up. He was not in professional level, but played in Greece in the smallest categories, and he basically was the reason why I started playing and fell in love with the sport. And
when I was growing up a long, long time ago, in the U.S. Dream Team, 1992, came to the Olympics. It was a no-doubter.
Only one
that
team.
They were going to blow out everybody.
But one team.
You could probably put together at that era every other international team together, and they could not beat the United States. Now, in the NBA, almost every top player in the league is not American.
Yeah.
Even a player like Gilgeous-Alexander, who many people think is American, he's Canadian. So what do you think has happened in the last, really in your lifetime, the growth of basketball internationally?
So, first of all, 2005 in Saitama, the World Cup, we beat the United States. Yes, this team with Diamadidis, Papaloukas, all these guys beat them against LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bass, Dwight Howard, all of these guys. And we reached the final. So I think we're the only team that has done this besides Serbia or something. What was the question again?
How do you think that international basketball has grown so much?
I mean,
so many superstars of the game are from Europe.
I feel like, with no offense to American players, I feel like as the years going through, people and coaches, scouters, all of these guys understand that athleticism is not only the only thing that makes you play. So I think that overseas guys, it's not that they're less athletic, but they don't have all of what the characteristics that God gave them. But they have that, that discipline. They have that make the right play. I don't say that Americans don't do this, but overseas guys learn that from a really young age. As I can remember, that if the team wins, everybody's gonna eat. So I remember myself. Our coaches used to tell us all the time, like, doesn't matter what you do individually, and that's why I think NBA people, want more overseas guys because of that thing. And after, they can influence the American guys, and then this combination makes a better team.
We're here with Anastasios Rozakeas and Stas. Lastly, Mount St. Mary's is such a unique university. It loves basketball. and the culture of the small campus, but this great community. What have you loved the most about being here at the Mount?
I mean, I loved, as you said, the fact that it's a small community and the gym is always crowded, and you can see people outside the campus that they're gonna pull up in the game and support you and all of the stuff, which is way better than, like example, last year we had close to an empty Tucker Center. Like Florida State was not always. It had people, a lot of people, but because it was huge, you couldn't feel the energy you can feel now in a small gym, but with more, more energy and stuff. So I think it's pretty unique.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and we wish you all the best and a great close to the season.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
That's Anastasios Rozakeas. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to take a look at the Buffalo trip up ahead for Mount St. Mary's with Coach Donny Lind. That's coming up next. Welcome back here to the Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. Let's now look ahead. It's a lot of times in the league, you're going to play on a Thursday or Friday and then a Saturday or Sunday. This week is a little bit different. It is in the MAC, the famous Buffalo trip. Every school that takes on Canisius, you're going to play Canisius and Niagara on the same trip. Those two schools very close to each other. And it's always a very, very tough trip to make it a successful one. But how unique is that? Because you're going to stay in the same hotel. You're going to play on Saturday afternoon and then on MLK Day, Monday afternoon. But how unique is it to play two road games in a row and stay in the same hotel? You don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's nice for us. We can kind of unpack your bag a little bit. You can feel settled. You can get a good night's sleep after the game. You don't have to spend 3 or 4 hours on a bus driving from one school to the next. So, there's a couple of those. It's like that with Fairfield and Sacred Heart too. We can stay in the same place. So the league, the way the league has grown, and obviously Canisius and Niagara have been in the league forever, and so people, even when I was a manager at Loyola, this was a trip that you would go on and you stay in the same hotel then too. And so it's a tough trip. It's a long trip to get there. It's two teams that really protect their home floor well, like most teams do in this league. And so you got to come ready to play. And, 2 afternoon games against teams that are, fighting tooth and nail like we are at this time of the league is always, it's what you sign up for in conference play.
And of course, this is the Mount's 4th year in the MAC. The first 2 seasons, Mount St. Mary's went to the MAC tournament, and their opponent was Canisius. So the two played 3 times each in each of the first 2 years. Last season, Canisius had a really, really tough year. In their first year, new head coach, new regime, but they're really having a bounce back season, are they not?
Yeah, drastically improved. They're a very good team. They can score it from all over the floor. They can put points on the board in a hurry. They got a couple of really talented scorers, and then they're defending at a level that is able to keep them around and keep them in games until that offense can kind of take over. And they will present a tough challenge on Saturday afternoon for sure. They're really well coached. They're disciplined. And so we'll have to, bring a level of intensity and an edge to us when we roll into the gym on Saturday morning. We'll be arriving ready to play. And, the early games sometimes, there's always a little bit of a different mentality in making sure that, the more aggressive, more connected, more together team a lot of times can jump on the other team. And so that'll certainly be our goal on Saturday morning.
And then on Monday, it'll be Niagara. Niagara was the place of probably the wildest win of your first year, Coach Lind, here at the Mount, in which Mount St. Mary's pulled off a missed free throw kick out 3 almost at the buzzer to win by 1. And I know that if it's a winning effort this year, you're hoping that maybe it doesn't come down to that.
Well, I'm sure that Niagara will be have revenge on their mind from them feeling as though we stole that one from them last year. But yeah, again, another team that is hungry to protect their home floor. They play each other this week as well, which is a huge rivalry for them. And so Niagara will have some time off before they play us to prepare and get ready for that game coming off of their bye. And so it'll be, I'm sure it will be quite a battle as two teams that are, hungry to advance and to move up in the league standings. So it'll be always a tough trip, but one that we're excited for and ready to kind of take a step forward as who we are as a team this year.
And then coming up, the Mount will then be at home for 2 games next week. Thursday, January 22nd, the Mount will host Quinnipiac. That's a 7 p.m. tip. It's going to be Emmett's birthday. You ready to eat some cake?
Sounds good.
And then on Saturday, it is homecoming. Homecoming, we'll talk about it next week, but such a special time here at Knott Arena. Tickets are very limited for homecoming, so make sure to grab them right now. The Mount will take on Ryder, part of a doubleheader. The women play at 2, the men will play at 5. So you can get tickets for those games at mountathletics.com. Well, thank you, Coach. What do they call it? The rough buff trip? I can't remember. I've seen so many things on social media, but good luck on your annual trip to Buffalo.
Thanks, Adam.
That's our Donny Lind Show as the Mount will take on Canisius and Niagara this weekend. We'll see you again next time.